Hey all, here are OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the HAKII Fit. These are TWS wireless buds, which are sports-oriented, and what makes them special is they have an interesting 3-in-1 transforming design. What I mean by that is they can be worn as regular mini buds, but you can also attach a larger hook on them, and that's what they call the sports mode compared to the Lite mode, which is worn just as these small buds. And then finally, the third mode is the wired mode, which basically adds a silicone neckband that prevents them from getting lost quite as easily. These buds do also support wireless charging, so you can top them up on a Qi-enabled mat, and they will last for 32 hours with a battery case. The buds themselves are also IPX5 waterproof rated. Additionally, they use Bluetooth 5.0, although it is a Realtek-based chip and not a Qualcomm aptX chip, unfortunately. So it does support SBC and AAC audio codecs, but not aptX for the lowest latency. Still, they use a pretty high-quality 10mm titanium custom drivers, but I wanted to show you guys the packaging experience is done in a very beautiful way. We've got the user manual here, in addition to a soft carrying case for the buds. More specifically, there's going to be the regular in-ear tips that you can adjust the size from. They're all made out of silicone and they're red accented, which gives a pretty dramatic look. And these are the sports mode hooks that you can attach the buds into to add this outer wing. And this can actually still fit into the battery case without having to remove them if you always want to wear it. Finally, the wired mode is just this little silicone strap. Taking a closer look at the design, the body is constructed out of a coarse plastic material, and there's also a rubber accent that allows the two sides of the casing to remain attached when you open it up, a very interesting look. And then you can actually pull on the other side to reveal the physical charging port if you don't want to use wireless charging. Now, unfortunately, the physical port is still using micro USB as opposed to Type-C. We can set this on top of, say, a Qi charging pad, and it will begin charging, as you can see by this LED light that begins flashing towards the bottom of the case. And when opening it up, we can see just the buds over here, which do feature a touch-sensitive area that you can use to tap on, playing and pausing your music, skipping tracks, and accessing the voice control. However, one thing that you can't do on the HAKII Fit is adjust the volume directly on them. The HAKII logo is also backlit, so it begins to gently glow when you kind of turn them on, and they pair very quickly with your phone once you remove them from the case. It's almost an instant process. Otherwise, it is very slick, and already has these micro wings built on in, even in the Lite mode. And I have to say, I really like the design. I think it's sleek, it's futuristic, but also very comfortable thanks to the ergonomic shape of the silicone. They didn't fall out even when I was shaking my head and jumping up and down. They already felt super secure. So here's what it looks like with the hook attached, and just by a quick contrast, this is the Lite mode. So instead of this little divot here, it now just takes up this larger space, which still has a cutout, and I can still close it up and charge it, which is a nice design. And now for the wired kind of strap mode, it actually works with either version. If you're using in the Lite or using with the sports hooks, you can still attach the band either way because it really fastens on the base here rather than on the edge here, which is where you swap out the silicone hook styles. And it's very lightweight and it's a very comfortable silicone, so it doesn't really irritate the skin even as you're using it. Perhaps the only feature that would have been nice to see, since this can become like a necklace when you are not wearing them, would have been a magnetic end cap to attach the two sides together so that it forms kind of a chain and you can wear it on your neck when you're not listening to music. As far as the size is concerned for the battery case, if we do a quick comparison, these are by no means the smallest in the world. So up against something like Apple's AirPods, you can see that it is going to be a bit thicker there. So a little harder to slide into smaller pockets, but still is reasonable if you have something like a coat or if you're putting it into a backpack, something like that. It is still smaller than something like the Powerbeats Pros in terms of their casing, so it sits somewhere in the middle. Moving into audio quality and performance, I have to say I'm really impressed. The sound quality, at least to me, really suits my tastes, and it just felt super comfortable upon first listen. It just sounds very rich and dynamic and full of life. It's quite bright and full sounding. So if you're listening to a singer's vocals, for example, it's still very expressive, but at the same time, there's a great punch and balance with the mids and also bass. If you listen to pop music or EDM music, anything that has a punch with a drum beat, it still comes across and you can definitely feel it as you're listening to the music, but it never really overpowers or disturbs the mids and trebles. So as a whole, for consumer grade headphones, I think these are super comfortable. For things like watching YouTube videos or for just music listening, they do a great job. The left and right sides are connected to each other without any problems. You can play and pause the track, and the process is pretty fast and responsive. It feels smooth without being too abrupt in the transitions. It also was firmly connected to my phone even when I was putting it further away in the room, and it didn't really interrupt the music as I was walking around. So latency is not the lowest, but it suffices for quick YouTube clips and for music listening. One potential con is that it's not completely silent. If you're super nitpicky and turning the volume all the way down low, you can still pick up a slight trace of a hum, digital noise in the background, so it's not going to be perhaps perfectly audiophile grade like some more expensive pairs from Sennheiser or Bose that tend to be even cleaner sounding and free from any distortion. But as far as something that is aimed more for kind of workouts and for sports, I think it perfectly suffices. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the HAKII Fit. It's not perfect in some small areas, like not having volume controls, and again, aptX is missing, but I think for just casual use, it's already very strong and has a beautiful as well as innovative design. So you can check out more details if you are interested in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the HAKII Fit 3-in-1 Transforming TWS Wireless Buds.